Hey everybody, let's do one of these hybrids. I'm just saying, which one should we do? I've got one that is a kind of a light blue with some interference, and one with a ocean blue, and then one that is kind of like an emerald green. I like this green one, but I want to do this one. This one looks cool. Okay, let's do this one. What do you say? Here's what I'm thinking. I'm going to be cutting this one off about here. So we're going to have about this much with Sky Effect. And I'll bring this out to here. Cool. Look at this burl. Oh my goodness. Isn't that cool? I don't know if you can see this. Let me see if I can get this to focus. Yeah, we can. Man, that's beautiful. This particular burl I've been getting, it's called Mallee, M-A-L-L-E-E, Mallee burl, and it comes to us from Australia. And I go ahead and stabilize it. That's removing all the oxygen out of it and replacing that with resin to give it a really tight effect. And that is really nice wood. But that burl that's inside of this is just going to be fantastic. Okay, let's get a chuck here. And that way we can play with this. Yeah, it helps when you turn it the right direction. All right. Let's get this thing in here tight. That way it doesn't come flying off at us. Okay, just kind of give you an idea of what we're doing. This surface here is what we're going to be drilling our hole in. So if anybody's watching just right now, I'm trying to think of what size of knot I want to use. And this size of a blank, I can do a 28 millimeter, which is about a 1 1/8 inch. I can do a 26 millimeter, which is about a 1 1/16, or I can do a 24 millimeter, which is basically an inch. So what I need to do is I need to get this really flat here before I drill it. And then after I drill it, I need to make a cove, so that way what happens is when your knot goes down inside of your handle, those hairs are sticking up. Let me get over here. Your hairs are sticking up, and you don't want it too conformed. You want the bloom to be able to open up. So what you do is you put a chafer along the inside of the hole that gives that hair the ability to open up a little bit, so that way that those sharp edges are not cutting off the hairs. So let's do that. And we're going to do this one from zero to hero. So you guys are going to see it all. Now, this is an easy wood tool. This is basically called a finisher. I do use a negative rake, which means that it's got a little bit different type of blade that's on it. And that way I can use it with acrylics. And it does a really good job for me. And this particular model is made by Easy Wood Tools. It is made here in the United States, and it's called a CI3. Let's see if you guys can see that. It's a CI3. That's the size of it. And I use a lot of easy working tools. Yes, I do have all the other tools and I use them, but on this application I use something a little bit different. So now let's get this up to around 1500, and that way okay, so now we've got this done correctly. Let's get the right bit in here. This is a 1 1/8 inch, which basically means that that is for a much larger knot. So, what are we thinking? A 1 inch? You know, let's do a 26 millimeter. .26 millimeter is a larger knot. So let's get the headstock out. That for a minute. I'll come bring this back over here so you guys can see what the heck I'm doing. You're not working in the blind. You know, you've only got so much focal point you can use. When I'm over on that side, it's kind of hard to see stuff. I'm gonna wait just for a second for that air compressor to die down for just a minute. Okay, I've decided to go with a 1 1/16 inch, which is basically made for a little bit larger than a 26 millimeter, so it pops in there really nice. This particular bit is rated for 700 RPMs. That's how fast it can turn. I usually turn it up to around 740, 750 RPMs. That would to drill this maple out, because this is some really tough maple. It's some really tough burl. So we're going to drill this out, and then we're going to chafer it, and then we're going to sand it. And the reason we're going to sand it up front a little early is because once you put your collet in this and flip it around, you're not going to be able to get to it till after the fact. So get it sanded now. Well, it helps when you can pull this up just a little bit. You got to keep an eye on this, make sure it doesn't wobble out. Okay, when you're setting a knot, the best thing you can do is, it's called a loft. How much depth do you want the actual knot to go inside of here? Well, I have found that for 24 millimeter, 26 millimeter, and 24, 26, and 28 millimeter, the best sweet spot that I have found is a 15 millimeter depth hole. Now, when you get into that 30 millimeter, that's a much denser knot. That's the hair that comes out of this. I usually go down to 16 and a half millimeters. So when you're seeing me measuring all of this, I'm guessing, so when I just drilled that out, I just hit 15.33. That's perfect. As long as I'm in that 15 millimeter mark, I am golden. So now, let's do a little chafering on this. This is going to be done with a skew blade. Perfect. Now, we're not going to use the same speed to chafer this as we did to drill it out. So we're going to turn this up a little bit. And that is perfect. It's kind of hard to see that angle from here, but this now has an edge on it. So let me grab some sandpaper. Let's go ahead and turn it down a little bit. This is some 180 grit. I want this to be relatively worked out, so that way when we go to set a knot in here, it's pretty. It's already worked out. Okay, so this is the type of burl. I'm going to have to do a little bit of manipulating sanding to get some of these sanding marks out. Sweet. Okay. Well, I know this is supposed to go in. Every once in a while you run across one that just likes to be difficult. Okay. All better now. You know, just like Grandpa's old saying, if it don't work first, get a bigger hammer. All right. Gotta make sure this is tight. Alright, what we're going to do is check the level. With these type of tools, you want your tool to be directly in the center of the piece of work. You don't want it above it, you don't want it below it, you want it in the dead center. So that's perfect. So now let's check and see where we're at here. Very nice. And I put on a glove because these chips sometimes fly off and they get a little funky. So now okay, for safety, we're good. I'm going to take this up to about 2,000 RPMs, well, about 1,200. And what I'm doing is I'm going to take the nibs, the nipples off of this piece. Okay. That way these sharp edges here get removed. So now, let's crank this bad boy up. All right, you're going to hear me go quiet because I'm going to crank this up to get it round. Let's see where we're at. All right, we've still got a little bit of distance to go here, and a little bit of distance to go there. Okay. This thing's gonna have some beauty cracks in it. I have to wait till I get to that point, but yeah. Okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and cut this back here to leave the size that I'm gonna want up here. I'll have this brought back down. So doke. Now we're going to create the head. That is some tough burl. Okay. Absolutely gorgeous. What I'm looking for is like a bulb right here. If you ever notice that I'm looking over at this monitor, I have a monitor set up over here. And what I'm doing is I look over there occasionally, so that way if you guys have questions, I can honestly pick up the look right here and I can answer them live. Okay. Okay. That is a beautiful, beautiful live feed going through this thing. Yeah, there's a couple of holes in here I'm going to have to fill, and I'll get to it. But it's just absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so where do we want to cut this thing off at? Gorgeous. Okay. You guys can't see it from here. I'm looking at it from this point. Okay, we've got lots of burl up here. I don't like that angle that much. Let me grab this. Okay, now, man, it's gorgeous. So this is going to be like a high-rise burl that's going to be really bulky. All right, so let's get this. Glove is done. Let's fill some holes. Let's make sure that all of these get filled up. They look like they're already done. They're just like dark veins. But I want to make for sure that there are no holes here. Okay, so now nothing there. Blade mark right in there. Okay, blade mark gone. The only reason I get that is because trying to get in there to sand that is just such a nightmare. Okay, that looks like still one right there. It's right there. It's gone. Let's check some measurements real quick. Perfect. This is 36 millimeters. This at the highest peak is 37, and I'm okay with that. Okay. Let's cut it off. Okay, this is pretty much all that's left on that end. What I'm doing now is I'm going to get this to where we have a little thumb indentation, so that way when you take your brush and you set it down on the butt end of it, it's going to be able to stand up straight. And I need to adjust this. Just a micro hair. Okay. Now that we've done that, we've got a lip right here, so let's smooth that out. A little bit right there. that's what it looks supposed to look like. Alright, now that we've got it really shaped correctly, we need to change our speed so that way we can do some really quality sanding. Turn it down. I normally like to sand at about 400 RPMs. 600, 400, 320, 220. So now we're going to start out at 220 grit and get all the shaving lines gone. The shaping that we do on this leaves little marks. So what we're doing here is we're sanding them all out. Okay, we need to go down to 320. Alright, I'm looking over at the monitor. I don't see any questions. I don't even see anybody online, so I guess it's just me talking to me. This wood here, this Molly, I did stabilize dye it. I get all of my stabilizing products from a company called Turntex. The product is called Cactus Juice, and what it does is it takes all the fibers in the wood and removes all the air from it and then replaces it with a resin. And the reason I hand sand this end is because centrifugal force, this centerpiece right here, it's hardly, it's not moving very fast. And it will always seem to leave some scratch marks. So I hand sand it, and I'm looking at it from an angle, and I can tell when I've got it nailed. Okay, let's go down to 400. While I'm at 400, I'm going to dry this off real quick and make sure that I don't have a ton of scratch marks that I'm not seeing. Still see a bunch of scratch marks on this thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand sand this to get them out now. I actually had a customer friend that said that these live videos I was leaning over too much, and all they could see was the top of my head. So I'm doing it a little bit differently now. I'm trying to keep my head above. I may have to get into this 320 to get those scratches out. Isn't that an annoying noise? That end cap right here, that thing's got to be perfect. It is so easy to get scratch marks in this thing. Okay, and I still see a few right there. So let's just go ahead and get it sanded out. 600. Okay. All right. So I got 220, and then I've got 320, and then we got 400, and then we got 600. This kind of sandpaper is called Abranet. Probably one of the most expensive sandpapers on the planet, but they're worth every penny. All right. I'm going to clean this off. With some denatured alcohol, because what I'm about to do is start sealing this thing, and I'll really want it clean when I do. Okay. All right. As you can see, this is Mylan's sanding sealer. What it does, well, let me wait till this air compressor goes down. What this does is it gets down inside the wood and it fills it. So that way you can do a good sanding on it. And then we're also going to try something new today that I've experimented with a little bit already. And that is applying a orange oil and wax on this thing. That just does not want to get in there, so I know how to fix that. You don't have to be unliberal with this stuff. But if you can tell, this does bring out some of the beauty in this wood big time. Okay. Yeah, I had another artesian that basically showed me this. This is called Howard Weed. This goes feed and wax. It's basically beeswax and orange oil, and that gets down inside the pores of the wood. And it doesn't make it waterproof, but it does make it water resistant. Plus, it also conditions it, which is something that I want. Okay, isn't that pretty how this thing has this in it? See, most people don't know it, but when you get this kind of burl, what causes the tree, an actual tree, to make this is like a fungus or a infection, and the tree automatically starts sending stuff to it to try and repair it, and it creates this massive confusion inside of it, and all these knots start forming, and then this acme kind of blows up. It's really cool to see one on a tree. But that's actually what makes burl. Okay, so now let's get the micro stuff out of the way, and we're going to go to the wet. There's some 1,000 and here's some 600. Okay, so we're going to start off with some wet 600. You're supposed to let this sanding sealer dry for a little bit, but you know, for the live feed, I'm going to get right in it. And I feel okay doing that since I'm going to be putting a second coat of another product on it. With that alcohol that I put on it in advance, it does make it dry about twice as fast. Alright, let's make sure that this center is where we want it. Okay, now we're going to slip into an 800. And then we go to 1,000. Okay, these little pads right here are called micro mesh. If you go down and you're looking at the link, you're going to see I do have a link on Amazon where you can get these. And these are some really, really cool sanding pads when you're dealing with some really high-end acrylics that have to be perfect. Also, if any of you guys that are watching this, guys, girls, gals, any of you guys that are on a wet shaving group on Facebook, you do me a favor. Try and push them to my website. All of these groups that you find on Facebook, they tell you, well, there's no advertising. Okay, I'm a member of the groups, but I don't feel good about advertising on them because they make you, they tell you you don't. So if you do, it's okay. If I do, I'm in trouble. So anybody that's in a wet shaving group, which I'm a member of 3 on Facebook, give me a shout out if you like this. Oh man, this is shining up really well, and I'm just at 1800 grit. Okay, 2400 grit. I took the height of the wood, and I found some stuff that was some of the wood that was a little bit thicker so that I could make it a little bit taller on these. And I'm kind of experimenting with it, and I think I am really, really happy with it. You know, if you don't change it up every once in a while, you're not growing. Does that make sense? Okay, I still don't see any comments, so I'm going to leave it alone. Yeah, I'm looking up at the camera. Make sure everything's good. So far, so good. We live in an area that the internet is not the greatest. So we have to pay a premium for what you guys would think would be silly, but my internet is close to $150 a month. That's just the internet. To get 35 megs down and 7 megs up. They got us by the you know what. Making sure that I get this center one sanded down. Yep. And just in case you guys don't know, I did finish my website. Yay! You know, I tell my friends all the time, I would much rather just somebody just take me out and give me a good old-fashioned whooping rather than have to build a website. And I know that there's a bunch of people out there that this is what they do for a living. I'd go plumb smooth crazy thinking I got to build one of those every time. Now I know why these guys get $2,000 and $3,000, you know, every time they make one. You know, it's to them it's second nature. It'd drive me crazy. And, you know, I got all the respect in the world for these guys that do it. Me? Anyway, to mention it, it's go to mojohandcrafts.com. I bought the name Mojo Handcrafts, and I bought the website name for it, and there we go. I did have somebody today ask me what the word mojo meant. And my suggestion is Google it. What does mojo mean? Word meaning, mojo, M-O-J-O. And it can mean, you know, cast a spell. It can mean a guy's manhood, you know, like Jimmy lost his mojo, you know. Has a lot of different meanings. Well, I come from West Texas, out in the oil areas. And I graduated from a high school out in Odessa, Texas, called Permian High School. And their call sign is Mojo. M-O-J-O. And once you are a Mojo graduate, it's kind of like, there's more behind it than a college. And when you grow up in that environment, and you're playing football for them and all this kind of stuff, what mojo means to the kids that go to Permian is that, and I'm going to quote this for you because I know it by heart. Mojo means you have to give 110%, 100% of the time, and, comma, you always have to be the hardest working person in the room. And we take it very seriously. So that's kind of what mojo means to me. But, you know, for the person that is doing the marketing for it, you know, we're playing off of the other meanings of mojo. It can mean talisman, it can mean cast a spell, it can mean a lot of different things. You know? And that's fine, that's just good old-fashioned marketing. I understand. But that's what it means to me. Hope you don't mind me sharing that little piece of information. That's give 110%, 100% of the time, and always be the hardest working person in the room. We are almost done with the micro finish. Trying to find an angle I can look at this. Perfection. Okay. Looks like we got into a little bit of a buffering. Okay. We'll see how it works from here. Okay, we've got done with the sanding, and now we're going to do some light polishing. I don't know if you guys heard me or not, but we pay a premium for internet here, and it is, by most people's standards, terrible. So, we play. This is, of all things, Magnum wheel polish. It's like one you do in your car. You're polishing your aluminum wheels. It's a very, very, very fine grit that actually gets down to the microfiber level on the wood. Now this one here is about a 25,000 grit, and this blue one is about 28,000. $25,000, $28,000 grit. There we go. Okay guys, y'all look at this and tell me, how does it look? I gotta say it looks pretty dang good. Let's pop it out. Well, I tell you what, we were going to try this. So let's try it. This is an orange oil and beeswax. And I've already tried it on several other pieces, and I was ecstatically happy with the results. Okay, before I polish it, I'm gonna let you guys take a peek at this. Is that some pretty burl up in there or what? Let me move my fingers out of the way. And then this little accent piece up in here, like, oh my goodness. This makes it gorgeous. I'm trying to get it to where you guys can see this. But yeah, absolutely gorgeous. Let me go sand this edge. Okay. We're about to take this from real shiny to glaring shiny. And I can tell from here, we're a little bit on the crusty side, so let's just go ahead and fix it real quick. There we go. Gotta remember to get my head out of the way. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, that is absolutely gorgeous. Shiny, shiny, shiny. That is really some neat stuff on this thing. So before anybody asks, yes, I did fill them with CA. That way no water can get down inside of it. But yeah, that is just gorgeous. And then when you look down inside of this, it's just beautiful. Okay. Well, guys, don't forget to go to mojohandcrafts.com. My website is hooked up through Shopify, and I've got a lot of stuff up there, and it's selling, and it makes it really easy to go through. So, guys, appreciate you watching. Take care.